Okay, so we've got kind of a treat today. I'm kind of playing back and forth on the phone, a little bit of tag with Matt at the machine shop. And today I went up and picked up the 360. So this is the 360 for the Dart. It's a 91 360 truck motor basically. These motors from the factory are actually they're a roller motor, so they're kind of a hybrid when you think about it between a traditional LA block and a Magnum engine, because they use a roller lifter, and they have the spider that bolts into the valley. So it's kind of neat because these ones, they had a throttle body on them. So all the 360 engines that were throttle body prior to Magnum engines are roller engines, because I believe it's only 87 or 88 to 91 360s. It's 92 and up were Magnums. And prior to that, your 360 was actually carbureted still. I believe after 83 or 84, the 360s and 318s that had carburetors on them, they actually used a General Motors Rochester carburetor. So this is one of the throttle body engines, though, being a 91. But yeah, we got it back in the machine shop. So at this point, it's got all new frost plugs, all new core plugs. It's been line bored. Everything's been squared on it. It's been blasted. It's been Magnaflux, so there's no cracks in it. It's pretty much ready to go. It's got new cam bearings already installed in it. So we're ready to progress forward. It's all been blasted too, which is kind of nice because it means we're ready to basically prime it right off the hold. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, I'll grab a hold of the camera and kind of show you the bottom end here, and then we'll move on to, I'll flip the motor, show you the top end, and then I can show you the crankshaft and the cylinder heads, because they've been rebuilt as well. And what I'll do is, in the bottom, probably in the description of the video, I'll put a link to part 1 when we tore this engine down, and you can see that there's a big difference, a very big difference. So we're progressing forwards anyway, which is the important part. Okay, so let's have a good look at the 360. So the first thing you'll see is brass core plugs, right? Some guys call them frost plugs, but they're actually from the casting process of cast iron engine blocks, right? So right there, if you ever want to identify small blocks, say you have one of these blocks laying around, or you're going to look at one and they're not sure, or you're in the junkyard, whatever, and you want to know, is it a 360 or a 318? Well, all you have to do is go to the left side of the engine block, and this is the part number. You'll see it ends in 360. Now, if I were to dig out the 318 over here, you'll see that the last 3 digits of it are 318. Now over here on this side, this is your production date. So you'll see it ends in 91. 2291. So we know this is a 1991 block. So you'll see that everything's bored nice and straight. This is my favorite part, is when I get an engine back from the machine shop. I'm not gonna lie, it's I really like this part. You know, they're always so nice and clean. They haven't been completely destroyed yet. Let me just show you here. You'll see there's a nice cross hatch in our cylinders. Beauty. New cam bearings. And I'll flip it over for you. Okay, so there's our block flipped over. Now, one of the things I really like about Matt is when he does an engine for me, he even taps out all the holes and everything. So I know right off the bat that I don't have to worry about there being any crap in the bottom of these head bolt holes or anything like that. So I definitely appreciate that, and he usually skims the whole block and everything for me too, so everything's nice and straight. So as you can see, it cleaned up pretty good. I'll be honest, this is definitely one of the not as good looking engines that I've seen. It always surprises me at how much casting flash and stuff there is on these engines though, especially this late in production. This is 91, right? At this point they had been building an LA 360 since 1971, so. But, you know what? Looks pretty good. Okay, so now our crankshaft. Now, we were very fortunate that we were able to just polish this crank and it was still within spec. I say that because we didn't have to machine it, because that would have been an added expense. Okay, now the big show and tell. The heads. Now these have been completely rebuilt. So as you probably know, one of the more desirable cylinder heads for LA engines is the number 308 casting 360 cylinder head, which, if I flip the head around here and we look down here, you'll see 308. Now these are one of the best flowing cylinder heads that Chrysler produced. And you'll see it's a wedge style head because when you look at it from this side here, it's kind of a triangular wedge shape. So that's where you'll hear a wedge head come from, which I believe all the LA motors use wedge heads. So these ones have all new valves now installed in them. They have been, of course, refaced, and the valve seats have been recut. Again, new core plugs. New retainers. And as you can see, we also have new stem seals. Now we may have to change the springs when we get our cam, just to make sure that our springs are up to the task. But all in all, not a big deal. All of the hard work, in my opinion, has already been done. So, in my opinion, the fun part begins. Because now, we've got our block, we've got our heads, we've got our crank, and I've started kind of collecting some new parts. Got a Milodon windage tray, ARP studs for the connecting rods. Those are actually brand new rocker arms, believe it or not. A Mopar Performance balancer, made in Canada. So, you know, Now we're gonna start putting it together and well, progressing with it, so that eventually we can go ahead and bolt that up on top of it and get this thing set up. Some of the other parts that I didn't show that I do have for it here. These are original 340 A-body exhaust manifolds. I haven't checked the date codes on them, but Mark says that these ones are the ones for this car. So they should be right for a 68 anyway. We got an Edelbrock Performer RPM intake for it. We have 1968 318 valve covers that I gave Mark years ago. And that's a 360 car pan that my friend Kevin gave Mark. That'd be a couple of years ago now too. Of course, Kevin is over at the Claremont Classics Garage here on YouTube as well. So with that being said, we pretty much have the basis of our engine for this car now here in the shop. And I'm hoping within the next few weeks, as things start to roll in, we'll be able to actually start making some progress on putting the 360 together. Everything's been ordered. Unfortunately, as I'm sure many people are aware of, supply chain right now is not great. You know, lots of companies, businesses, and people are ordering stuff, but unfortunately what they order and what they receive are two different things, and the amount of time it's taking to get those things is a whole nother subject altogether. So unfortunately our hands are tied a little bit, and we can only put things together as we get parts for it. So with any luck, we'll get our bearings anyway and our piston rings. So if we get that together, I can at least go ahead and put together the bottom end of the engine. So I can assemble the pistons, put the rings on them, put the bearings in them, go ahead and put in our main bearings, put the crankshaft in, get all that set up, and then put the pistons in the block. And then from there, at least there's a couple other things I can pick away at from there. I got the window tray can go on. You know, it gives me something to do anyway. And then from there, hopefully the cam will come in. We can put the cam in it, put our lifters in, put a timing set on, and if we get that far, we'll be ready to put cylinder heads on it and be ready to put a timing cover and everything on it too. So with any luck, next few weeks that'll start to happen. The Dart itself is going Monday out to my friend Ryan's body shop. Ryan and his guys are going to go ahead and finish the sheet metal work. There's a few things that I've just never done them before, and it's a case of it's somebody else's car. If it was my own car, I'd absolutely have no hesitation of doing it. But being that it is somebody else's car, I personally feel better if someone who's a professional went ahead and did those couple little things. I mean, really the only sheet metal work that's left to do is a little bit on the rockers on each side, the lower quarters, a little bit on the rear panel here, and that's pretty much it for sheet metal work. And then after that, it's just all filler and blocking, which is a lot of work, and it's something that you got to have a really keen feel to. You know, I'll be the first to admit that I absolutely hate working with body filler, and I hate sanding it. So Ryan has a guy who is absolutely amazing when it comes to filling and sanding. I mean, the guy's like Picasso. He's just an artist at it. He can get anything arrow straight and anything smooth as glass. So it's a perfect job for him. And then from there, the car will be going into paint. So hopefully, I would say probably 2 months from now, maybe 3. Takes as long as it takes. I mean, the car has been off the road since 1989. It's been in this primer since 1994. So you know what, if it takes an extra month, if it takes 2 extra months, as long as it's done right and it looks good, I don't think either myself or Mark are too worried about it. I mean, the car's had more progress on it in the last couple months than it has in the last couple decades. So it's definitely coming along well. And I know that so far Mark's been very happy with it. So at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. You know, if we can make somebody, especially a good friend like Mark, happy, that's what this is all about. That's what the whole hobby is about, is making people happy. You know, whether it be yourself, family members, friends, whoever. That's why we're here, and that's why we do what we do. So anyway, hopefully I haven't bored you to death. And if you're interested in seeing future progress on both the 360, the 68 Dart, and my multitude of other projects, hopefully you will consider subscribing to my channel. I'd certainly appreciate it. And at the end of the day, I'm making these videos for you guys to hopefully help you out with a little bit of information and hopefully entertain you a little bit. So until next time, thanks for watching.